allegedly stalked one of the victims. That's false. You knew that was false. For anybody who had never heard that before, that question is now planted into them, unqualified representation that Mr. Kohberger stalked one of the witnesses, and that's false. We do not have evidence that the defendant had direct contact with 1122 or with residents of 1122. But we can put his phone in that area. There are many residences in that area. It's a dense population of mostly college-related occupants.
Everything stated in this video is my opinion and my opinion only. And just like everything else in these cases we discuss here on this channel, everything is alleged. Good evening. Holy crap, Ollie, it's late, you guys. I did not want to go live this late, but I had to handle house things. I had to handle life things, but I wanted to talk about this as soon as possible because things always come up and then we don't have time to talk about things. And it takes me twice as long to get a edited little video out because I have to record and then go back and then edit and then download and then upload and do all the things. So it's just easier to do it this way. I feel like this is extremely important, especially now that we have this timeline that sort of does make it seem as if Xana and Ethan were not together during a certain point of the night, which just so happens to be at this exact same time frame. I will admit that I didn't really dismiss the Linda Lane cameras. I knew that they were leaked. I was very much in the middle of everything that was going on back then. All those videos about all of the drama that came from the Linda Lane cameras are very much still out there. I don't even think I was doing lives at that time. I'm not sure. But we were going over Linda Lane heavy. We knew all about the emails going back and forth, how people were trying to point the fingers at Sleuthy Goosey for some stuff, and she had nothing to do with anything. There was a whole bunch of stuff going on when it came to the Linda Lane cameras. I have not sat there and gone through every minute of these the way that we have 1112 because I didn't trust the audio. I didn't trust the audio because the source was really freaking sketchy. And to this day, there's still just sort of like assumptions. There's not really like a concrete answer. I mean, I feel like I know the answer of where it kind of came from and like the circle that it went to. But when it comes to like concreteness, we don't have that. We don't have that with Linda Lane and how it originally came out. Now it's FOIA-able. And the version that I'm using for this came from Connor's page after he FOIA'd it, after he was FOIAing all the rest of the stuff. But I know that the people that were heavy into Linda Lane did go and compare the FOIA videos and said there's no differences. At least none that they've mentioned because I have asked several times. So I have gone in and looked at bits and pieces for timestamps of things that we have deemed important. But to sit down and go through it all the way that we did 1112, I have not. So maybe we will do that. Since Connor has them in our segments, maybe we will do that eventually here. Especially for like the main time frames. But I say all of that to say this. We also got verification that these were, I guess, legit. I don't really know how else to freaking say it, honestly. When the conversation between Brett Norton and Steve Goncalves came out. Now, we were heavy in that too. We've been heavy in this case for a long ass time. So when the conversation first came out, we talked about it. When Brat came out and did a conversation or like an interview type thing with with Melissa Jade, we talked about it then. We had to re-talk about it all over again when people kept trying to make Dot happen. And here we are again. And people over on TikTok are going to get all pissy and act like, oh my God, why are you bringing Brat back up again? Well, because she put herself in the middle of a really stupid ass situation. And the things that she said and the conversations that she had with Steve Goncalves have a lot of really important information in it. So the information in those conversations are going to come up quite a bit, as you can see. So when we bring up this stuff and we talk about this, it's not to bring Brat back into any freaking thing. It's a conversation that was had, that was verified, that we know for a fact is true. That proved a lot of bullshit that the Goncalveses were putting out. But I even think I found some lies from the Chapins in these messages between Brat and Steve Goncalves, which we'll talk about on a different day. By the way, I have officially added those to the drive. The screenshots that we do have from the screen recording of the conversation, I have placed them in the Google Drive. The folder is now right here. Open it right here, and they are all there for you to see. I do not have the 3-hour long or however long it is screen recording of the conversation, because the way that this was done was that Brat opened up her phone and Melissa was screen recording the conversation with the screen share. And as they were going through things, Mel would instruct her to like, okay, pull it off to the side or like do certain things to prove that it was legitimate. These are legitimate conversations. This is where we found out that James Patterson, the writer of the book, got jury people to talk to the Goncalveses. This is where we found out that the grand jury were questioning why Dylan wasn't getting any charges because of how shady her information was. This is that conversation. And it's really important because in this, Steve Goncalves is actually the person who brings this little segment of time with this person that could very well be Ethan and maybe even Pete. He's the one who brought this little segment to Brat Norton's attention in a screenshot. So we're going to go over that information, along with the second time that they talked about this information, where Steve talks about the fact that he has now given this over to the Chapins and asked them about it, and they claim that they don't recognize the person. Sure. I mean, it might not be Ethan. But man, if the guy next to him doesn't look like Pete, and if that mustache don't look right, and that haircut don't look right, and those shoes even kind of look right, and the timing that him and Xana were not together because she was trying to get a hold of him and Pete don't look right. I mean, it all kind of adds up now at this point that we have this like additional timeline. So let me just go ahead and start off by showing you the TikTok that got my attention on this, because like I said, I hadn't really delved too high into this. Now, I'm not going to do it with sound because there's like, I don't know if this one actually has a song behind it, but TikTok has music usually, and I don't need the problems. So I'm going to play this TikTok. It's 41 seconds. This was posted by Lauren, but she talks about somebody, D. Rema. I guess maybe they're the person who put like some of the pieces together. Yeah, it looks like it's like maybe right here. Yeah, but I'm going to play Lauren's because where Lauren put it is where I first saw it. So I always give credit to where I first saw it. That's what we go off of. And then I did my own research and grabbed some other things. So this is just kind of like showing like the person walking, the person next to him, and how the person, man, looks a lot like Ethan. So she's showing the shoes right here. And as you can see, there's like a shading. We know that Ethan did have these white shoes with the black Nike swoop on the side. And that's like just real similar. It's just real similar. It really is. Now, I'm going to stop it here because this is where she starts just like showing like, you know, we have all these messages, and in these messages is where Steve Goncalves for the very first time brings this to Brat Norton. So I'm going to show you guys those messages now before we get to the actual footage. But I also just want to like share images of things. Now, I might be wrong on this, but I don't think I am. I had to go and find pictures for this. Is this not them on Friday? Like either right before they went out for that night or like the little get together that they had? I'm pretty sure that this was that. Even if not, it had to have been like pretty soon around that time, because look at his hair and look at his mustache. So that's what I want you to focus on, is like his hair and his mustache and like the way that his body is shaped, the way that he kind of like looks when he's standing. This is from the Betty Ball, which would have been Saturday night, where he went with his sister. Now, this is just like a clearer one, but it shows like his shape, where his hands fall, his hair, his mustache. Now, this is one I found on Reddit today. I had never seen this one as far as I remember. I do believe that home dude in the red tie is Pete because of the way that he's shaped. And then, of course, this right here is Ethan. This is supposed to have been inside Hunga Dunga that night, which is, it's still crazy to me. They were only there for like an hour. It seems like a lot of like effort to get stuff together just for it to have been like an hour. Okay, so this is where The conversation with Brat and Steve starts talking about Linda Lane. Now she asks Steve, this is in July, right after the grand jury. Brat asks Steve if he's seen the Linda Lane cameras, and he starts talking about how there's an SUV around that area that he has some questions about. He says, yes, but the SUV was there hours before, and at least it matches up with the white car being seen at 4:04. And they start having a little bit more of a conversation. I just put these in because they were in here in order. This is where, like, these are in order because, like, I wanted to show you how they progress through, because he talked about Peterson, and then he says this. Have you seen this? This is Steve asking Brat Norton if she has seen this exact screenshot, this 1228 timestamp, where this guy who very much looks like Ethan and who might be Pete are walking towards the Linda Lane apartment. This is the screenshot Steve Goncalves sent to her. So he's instantly like, who are these people? And mind you, at this point, he already has the 1112 camera. He's going to even show her, like, the screenshot, the 156 screenshot that he sent to her way back then to argue about the Linda Lane sounds. That's this thread. So Steve was already questioning, who could this be? So I wonder if he thought it was Ethan, and he was like fishing to see if other people might have thought it was Ethan too. Because he doesn't say who he thinks it is. They talk about it maybe being Hunter, and then it's sort of just like they go past it. Now he also sends her dumpster guy to look at. Now, I don't know what is going on with this section down here. Like, I mean, I know, but I don't know who the person is that they're talking about, like those pictures. Apparently somebody who he claimed was working for Bryan, like, had a bunch of that, like, monster movie type stuff, like, on some social media account, but I didn't recognize the name, and I didn't recognize the name back then either. So I don't know where he got that name from. I'm not quite sure. Again, the messages are in the Google Drive. So this is where he sends the screenshot of the 156 camera. This is where we know for a fact that he had it. And in this conversation is also where he tells her that Jack Jacor is the one who got it for him, because Jack was friends with the person who had the cameras. Now they ended up moving on to like a different subject, and then ended up coming back. And this is where he's going to say that he sent it off to the Chapins. But at this section, it's now Brat for some reason. And she says that this was before she felt like she had gone down like the crazy rabbit hole, but she thought that there was a mask on one of these guys' faces. So that's when she sends Steve the screenshot and is like, are they wearing masks? And basically he just doesn't really acknowledge too much when it comes to the mask thing. But then they start having a conversation about how he sent this over to the Chapins. It's going to pop up here in just a second. See, this is also where she's like asking him, like, can I put this on TikTok? And he's saying that he doesn't even know what TikTok is. So they said that they were trying to see, like, maybe if it was Hunter, they weren't really quite sure. He just wanted to say that they wanted to see if these kids had been interviewed, is what he said. We're trying to find out who these kids are and if they've been interviewed. And his whole thing is that he wants to make sure that the cops are doing their job, which I completely understand. I completely get it, because obviously they weren't doing their job, like, regardless. We've been keeping track of the prosecution and making sure they don't drop anything. But remember, this is also the same conversation where he says to her that they used to hear stuff about, hey, this guy was cleared, and hey, this guy was cleared, but they don't hear anything anymore. These conversations were happening at the end of June, early July 2023, right after the grand jury. Right after the grand jury. He said, we just want to make sure the cops are doing their job, make sure they know they are not involved, and they would be witnesses to the fact, time, date, location, etc. Which I don't really know, like, why he would even, like, say that, because witnesses to the fact of what? Like, he's talking about the 1228 timestamp. He's talking about those 3 people going into those apartments. So what are they going to be witness to, time, date, location for, if that has nothing to do with the crime itself? Like, I feel like he maybe thought that this was Ethan or somebody involved in it, because why else would you be asking, like, specifics like that? I just feel like it's like a interesting way that he ended up moving it through. These are just the same messages. Okay. So this is the 1228 timestamp. So we're going to play this. It's going to play twice. It's going to play like regular, and then it's going to play again with it being like a little bit bigger so that you can see it. And let me tell you first, like, I mean, obviously you can tell because of the thumbnail, but this is why this is like interesting now when it comes to the possibility of this actually maybe being Ethan, because now, and again, I have FOIA'd this myself. I don't know if they're going to give it to me, but I have FOIA'd this information myself. In the book, he says that on November 2023, Moscow Police Department and the Idaho State Police put together this horribly out of order timeline. And in this timeline, it says, and I don't care about what interviews say. I don't care that Bethany's interview says that she sees Ethan and Xana at 17 after midnight, blah, 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 whatever. I don't care, because eyewitness accounts and all things like that are always like usually wrong. They're usually off. So I'm going by the cell phone data only, the things that are coming from the actual cell phone. And then we also have this work product situation, but I don't even think that text message even matters. At 16 after midnight is when Xana calls Ethan and it goes unanswered. And it shows that on Ethan's phone that he's missing a call from Xana. Again, at 20 after midnight, Xana then goes to text Pete, you good? So when you think about the fact that she's calling Ethan, she's not getting an answer. Then you think about the fact that she's now texting Pete and like checking in on him. One would assume that because they're friends, they're probably together. And if she's texting one and can't get a hold of the other one, it would make you assume again that they're probably together. So just watch the two guys, because Home Dude looks like freaking like, if Home Dude looks like Pete walking next to this guy that looks like Ethan. And also, Xana calls again at 1:16 in the morning, and Ethan doesn't answer the phone then either. So I don't know if it ever shows these people leaving this apartment or not. That's why I want to go back and like watch more of this footage and actually like really look at it, because I don't know. Oh shit. Hold on. I forgot to switch the screen. Hold on. Okay. And this is also like a dark colored SUV that pulls up to like drop them off too. You can see it a lot better when it goes to back up to leave. I watch this guy too. A lot of people notice how he walks up and like his head is down. I think he like hits the wall right now. Like he looks like he's kind of mad and he's like hitting the wall before he goes upstairs to the apartment.
We shouldn't park anywhere here. They told her to park at the bottom part of the lot.
Right, he looks mad. But I can't tell like who that guy could have been because he's got that hat on. See, this is a dark colored SUV. It's going to get colored up here in a second. Okay. Now it's going to play again. And it's going to be like just a little bit farther up. That first guy that got out looked mad, right? And he's hiding his face like he knows there's a camera there, which is just another like kind of weird thing.
Dylan lied.
It does sound like Dylan lied, didn't it?
We shouldn't park anywhere here. They told her to park at the bottom part of the lot.
That did sound like Dylan lied. That's crazy. I never even realized that until y'all said that. Play it again.
No, I'm not.
Scared?
I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
You shouldn't park anywhere here. They told her to park at the bottom part.
No, right there they were talking about parking. I remember listening to this like a long time ago. See, you can tell by the shape it's an SUV. Dark color. I mean, it could be black, could be some sort of weird dark charcoal gray, could be maybe even a midnight blue. It's hard to tell.
No, I'm not.
Scared? You shouldn't park anywhere here. They told her to park at the bottom part of the lot.
See, it's not just the fact that that guy looks like Ethan. It's the fact that the guy walking next to him looks like freaking Pete. That's what's so freaking wild. I think I actually put, let me see. I think I'd put a piece of the TikTok at the end of this. Is it the same one from before? Yeah. Hold on. Let me go back and see if I can find the one that had like a bunch of pictures of Pete on it, because there was one where they put pictures of Pete together in the video. This might be it right here. Make sure. Okay. Okay, again, this is Lauren's, and this is the one that had music on it, so I can't play like the music, but like there's pictures of what's his face, Pete in here, and you can just see like the guy's like he's shaped like freaking Pete, like his facial structure is shaped like Pete. Like I know that that's blurry, but we've seen Pete. Like most of us that have been like looking at this case, like look his facial structure, his cheeks. Like tell me that damn dude's face don't look the same shape. Even from here. It's just odd that it would be an Ethan lookalike and a Pete lookalike at the exact same time that Xana is trying to get a hold of both of them. Because obviously they're not together in the same place. Tell me that guy don't resemble him. Isn't that crazy? Now, I don't know who this girl could be because her hair is like a little bit lighter. It doesn't look anywhere near as dark as Xana's. Now, I know that there's been some conversation. Some people thought it could be Emma Bailey. Her hair is like dark. It's definitely not Emma Bailey. See, I don't know, guys. I just wanted to see what you guys thought and like put it together with the timeline crap that we have now. Because up until like this apparent law enforcement put together timeline, we've been under the impression that they were together at the party the entire time. And even though this doesn't actually verify that they weren't, the fact that Xana is calling him at 16 after, the fact that she's calling him again exactly an hour later at 1:16, the fact that she's texting Pete at 20 after, I mean, I don't know. It very well could be. They could have left the party and went to do something else and then went back over there. I don't know. We don't know anything when it comes to Xana and Ethan's timeline. Everything is up in the air. Literally everything. So I don't know. I don't know if it's him or not. I just found it really crazy that there is a guy that very much resembles him walking next to a guy that now we know very much resembles his friend Peter. And now we know that Xana was messaging both of them and basically doing like checkups. That's what it seems like. You good? That's a checkup on Pete. She's calling Ethan, can't get a hold of him, then texting Pete. You good? It sounds like they might be together. I don't know. I'm not saying that it is. I'm just saying that it damn well looks like it could be. And we have a lot of questions. And I found it, obviously, if I am coming out here and showing you something that I'm not 100% positive on, I must feel like it might be pretty important. Especially since, again, we have no timeline for Ethan. We have no timeline for Xana. Even dude who apparently saw all the additional information to write this book is saying that he hasn't seen a damn thing that says anything about what time they got home, not even in their phone records. And I mean, like, come on. All this time later, Dylan and Bethany apparently never saw or even knew that they were back, but Dylan's entire story about seeing Xana exists. So I don't know how that even happened. There's just so much. There's just a lot. And I don't know. I don't know. It very well could be. It might not be. I don't know. I don't know. But again, I have put in all of the messages in this drive right here. Let me show y'all one more time. Right here. See, this is the message right here where he says that he sent it to the Chapins to see if they recognized it. Mom and Dad said no, but would check with the kids this weekend, and then that's it. But there's, I mean, we've gone through, I think, like 2 or 3 parts of these messages. We have not gone through all of them. I still need to do there's probably going to be like maybe 3 more parts. Because there's a lot of information in here. A lot of stuff that she was being told by him about things that they knew, things they were being told by the people from the grand jury, other situations that he was looking into. But there's also a lot of false information in here because this was around the time of Dot. And there was a lot of that going on as well. But when it comes to the stuff that Steve is saying, it's really interesting. The stuff that he admits to having, the stuff that he admits to people like telling him, there's all kinds of stuff in there. There's all kinds of stuff in there. Oh, let me put like the link in here. Hold on. And you know what's so funny too is like a bunch of haters that like talk shit about me constantly and go to Reddit and go to Facebook and do all of this. They're the first ones to go into my Google Drive the second that I have something new in there. I find that hilarious. Like, I guess I understand why some people end up putting stuff behind a paywall, but I'll still never be that petty. So here's a link. There's a link. So y'all can go in there and grab whatever. I mean, I know that there's more than that camera on Linda Lane. I know that's the conversation people were having on TikTok is that they think it could be Josie, but I don't know. I don't know. I can't say that I recognize who that girl could be. All I know is what my eyes are looking at. And I see a guy that looks really pissed off getting out of a car, walking up and punching a building before he then goes inside. I then see a guy that looks very much like Ethan walking next to a guy that looks very much like Pete at a timeline that now we know it seems like maybe Ethan and Xana were not in the same room together based off of phone records. That's all I'm saying. That is all I'm saying. But I would like to go in and I would like to like maybe watch an hour or like an hour at a time of the Linda Lane footage just to see like what's going on. What I know a lot of people have really like digested that thing the same way there's groups of channels that have digested the grub truck footage, but we haven't. I haven't. So I don't want to do it like consecutively because there's a million things that we're also like looking into, but maybe like one day a week until we're done, we'll do like a Linda Lane live and just go through like the footage that we do have, because we do have some going the other way towards the dump, like the dumpster video too. So maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll do that. Emma Bailey has hella dark hair, and that girl's hair had like a brighterness to it. Like, I don't know. I don't think it is. I think that if it was Emma Bailey, her hair would look like Ethan, the guy that looks like Ethan's hair looks. I think it'd be that dark. But yeah, I think we probably should go back through Linda Lane. But for those that want to get like a heads up on it, I mean, I can give you 2 channels right now that, I mean, I know there's more, and like, nobody take offense if you're not the one that I think of, but I just know that when I first started looking at the footage, when it came to be like leaked, it was coming to me from like emails and stuff, because we were trying to figure out where the hell the shit was coming from. And there was a bunch of us trying to figure it out. But when it comes to like the YouTube channel stuff that had it, there's one called Yori True Crime that has a lot of it. There's also like an Idaho 4, is it Idaho 4 Linda Lane Archives or something like that? Let me see if it's that one. Linda Lane Archive, I think. Okay, yeah. Here's Linda Lane Archive. So I'll give y'all this one because this would be the footage that was leaked, okay? This would be the footage that was actually leaked. And I'll show you the screen because this was way before any FOIAs could have happened or anything else. This is the footage. This is the footage basically that was like leaked. And then we have Connor that has it where it was FOIA'd down here. But that other channel has also the dumpster footage, which is also something that Brat and him were talking about. So here's Connor's right here. And there are other channels that have it. So, I mean, feel free to go get it wherever you want to. But these are the ones that just come to mind, like thinking about it last minute. Thinking about it last minute. Ooh, my dog's outside the door. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I just found it really interesting. And again, the only reason why I even wanted to bring it up before it got forgotten about is because we have no real answers for them. For some freaking reason, we have no answers for Ethan and Xana's timeline. And this timeline of Xana's missed calls to Ethan's phone and a text message to Pete is interesting. And timestamps are crazy. Like, that's literally just a handful of minutes after the message to Pete. And the dude looks like Pete and the dude looks like Ethan. What's going to be crazy? Okay, look, I'll just tell you this. All right. I didn't even want to say this now, but obviously it doesn't even matter. I'm still going to put it in like a video by itself. In those messages, and I'm not going back in and pull them up. Go grab the link and look at it. Look at it. It's in there. Okay. It's in there. In those messages, we obviously see where Steve is saying that he sent the picture over to the Chapins and they're saying they don't recognize the person, right? Could be Ethan, might not be Ethan. The reason why I'm like, because she freaking lies to Steve in the messages about Ethan's toxicology report. Steve tells Brat Norton in these messages that Kaylee and Maddie's toxicology came back clean. That's true. That's true. They didn't have anything in their system other than what we already knew, which was the alcohol. That's true. Apparently, according to what we've seen anyway, even though we've only gotten reports written about the toxicology and the autopsy, right? But then he tells Brat that Stacy basically said that Ethan's was clean too. And no, ma'am, it wasn't. There was amphetamines in his system. So that's Stacy Chapin lying to Steve Goncalves about Ethan's toxicology results. So I wouldn't put it past her one bit to know for a freaking fact that that's Ethan and to tell Steve that it's not. And I think that's where I'm going to leave it. And again, those messages are right there for y'all to be able to go and look up yourself. So I'm going to go ahead and get off the live. I knew it wasn't going to be a very, very long one. So I hope you guys have a super, super great night. I'm going to go take a bubble bath with a little pineapple coconut margarita in my hands and some show on my laptop and go relax. Happy Mother's Day ahead of time for those of you who are celebrating tomorrow. I will be also dropping the live no commentary audio for the ATF guy interview that we went over earlier today. And I think that's it. I don't know if I'm going to post anything Monday morning. If I do, it might be an update, like I said, on another case, because we do have Turvey doing his interview finally with the custody queens off the clock. And what I plan to do, like I planned to do before, is do an instant live reaction 30 minutes after the interview is over with whatever new information that we end up getting from him. And I think that's it. I think that's it. All right, you guys. I am going to go ahead and get off of here. Thank you so much for jumping in here. So freaking late, so last minute. There's a shit ton of you guys in here, though. So obviously, late night Saturday nights are not a bad time. And I've been not doing late night Saturday nights on nights that I can't sleep or can't relax or have nothing to do because the boys are busy, because I didn't think a lot of you guys were going to be online. But shit, there was almost 1,200 of you in here tonight. So we might do more Saturday night, late night stuff. Because that's interesting. I didn't know how many of you guys were going to be on this late. Tells you where I'm usually at, in my bed. Not giving a damn. All right, you guys. Have a super, super great night. Thank you again so much for being in here. See y'all. If you like the way that I present this information and give my opinion, please don't forget to leave a like on the way out. Subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed already. And please don't forget to make sure that the notification bell is set to all so you don't miss any of my rants, reviews, reactions, updates, or deep dives.